Hey everybody, this is Jacob doing a video on the finals. In this video we're going to be showing off the gunplay, the movement, and the destruction, and some other things, but this ain't a review. The finals is a free-to-play FPS arena shooter game, made by Mbox Studios, and it is available for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. One thing I really love about the destruction in this game, not only does it look cool, but it also gives you a lot of creativity. And there's so many different weapons and gadgets that you can use to destroy the environment around you. And that's why each round that you play feels unique and allows for a lot of high IQ plays. And you know that's gonna be your greatest skill that you can have in this game, is just knowing how to use that destructibility in your favor. Or your gunplay and your movement is gonna be really important. But if you can learn the map and master the destruction, that's what's gonna separate you from everybody else. In this part of the game, I was over here defending B, and then my teammates decided they were going to destroy the building and make it fall over, which was fine, but I didn't know they were doing that, and then I was like, oh shit. But you don't take fall damage, and if the buildings fall on you, they don't kill you, and you rarely get stuck. And I have never been permanently stuck, I just got tangled up a couple times, which to me makes it feel a little bit more realistic. And here it is after it completely collapsed. And I thought that was kind of cool. And one thing that I want to talk about is the fact that I'm still in pretty easy lobbies. But once I start getting into better lobbies like platinum and diamond lobbies, I think I'm going to see a lot more stuff like that building falling down. And there's been some people saying they have over 1,000 hours on this game, which is crazy because I remember playing Apex on the weekend for like 5 to 10 hours when I wasn't working. And even on my work days, I would still come home most of the time and I'd put a couple hours into the game. And out of those 3 years that I was playing Apex, I have 1,800 hours on the game, which is probably the most that I've played any other game. But this game's only been out for 6 months at the time of making this video, and those people that put that much time in this game already. But I think I'm getting a little bit off topic, but my point is, the longer this game's out, they're going to come out with new weapons, new gadgets, new maps, and we are going to learn how to use them. Lights have the least amount of health out of the 3, with only having 150, but they are the smallest and the fastest. To me, it feels like Lights have the best weapons and abilities out of any other class, and they have a few weapons that can almost one-shot you, depending on your class. Say like if you're medium, they have one that is a backstab instant death, but like for the heavy it wouldn't be. And I am going to go and talk about and show off some of the gadgets and weapons for each class. And this is medium, they have 250 life, so they have 100 extra life, Lights being only 150. And medium's not quite as fast as light, and they're not quite as slow as heavy, and they don't have quite as much life as heavy. And when it comes to the weapons and the gadgets, is basically the same thing. Like they have some movement gadgets, and they have some destructibility weapons and gadgets, just not as much as the heavy. And that's pretty much the medium. You kind of get a little bit of both, a little bit of movement and a little bit of destruction. And heavy is basically going to be your tinkle. The downside to being a heavy is pretty much, you know, what you would think. You know, he's not as fast, he's bigger target, bigger hitbox, and has little movement abilities. And even then, you have to know how to use his abilities for movement. And most of his abilities is used for a push, and you have to be tactical about it, and usually involves somebody else being with you. But when it comes to you trying to get away, that's when you find yourself in a bad spot. And the plus to being a heavy is, of course, you have a lot of life, and you have easily the most destructibility out of any other class. And your weapons do deal quite a bit of damage, but they're not quite as powerful as some of the light weapons. And this is my light contestant. Now this is going to be your special ability, which you have cloaking device, grappling hook, and dash. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to dash, which you cannot change your special ability during any game mode. And these are your weapons, which I am going to change to a double barrel shotgun, which is really good using dash, because in order for this gun to be effective, you have to be really close. And it only holds 2 bullets, so the dash will allow you to get in and out quickly. And then you have your gadgets, which right now I have gateway, scanner, and finishing bomb, which I'm going to change to stun gun. And then you have your reserve, which you can change when you die or after the round's over, depending on the game mode. Which I really don't look at it as a reserve, I look at it as more of an offensive and defensive, 2 different playstyles. And now with that same exact loadout, I'm going to show you guys how good and deadly this loadout can be. And I don't normally play light, I mainly play medium. And light is definitely a lot of fun to play, but there needs to be some loadout changes, which I'm going to talk about later on in the video. And I really like this clip. It just shows how deadly this setup can be. Stunned him to slow him down and then one shot him. Now normally that would have took 2 shots, but with him being a light and only 75% health. And I really like this. This is really showing off the movement you can create using the dash. And this is a medium and he is full health, and you can just see how much damage this shotgun does. And this is really just showing off how useful the dash can be using the stun gun. Not only does a stun gun do a little bit of damage, but it also slows him down and it takes down his shield. Sniper. This will be the last gun that I show with the light, and it does deal quite a bit of damage. On headshots on lights it's instant death, and then on mediums headshot it leaves about maybe 10% health, and then on heavies it leaves maybe about 40 to 50. For light and medium it's like 2 body shots, and if they don't get a good one on medium it's more like 3, and then it's like the same thing with heavy, like 3 or 4 body shots. And this is going to be the loadout for the medium, and I'm going to be using the heal beam, use the dual blades and the jump pad. I'm going to use the goo grenade, and then I'm going to use the defibrillator. Now in this game I usually don't use melee weapons all that much, but for this video I really wanted to show off how deadly the melee weapons can be. It can be quite annoying to get killed by a melee user, but it is quite satisfying to get a melee kill. Now this clip is quite funny because I could have killed the guy immediately, but I wanted to show off a special ability using the dual blades. But not only can you deflect them to reduce damage, but you can direct them towards the enemy using your crosshair. And here we have the heal beam, and your teammates do gain their health over a long period of time, but if you're wanting to heal them fast and quickly you have to use the heal beam. It does have a cooldown and you cannot heal yourself with it, but it does come in clutch because like in this clip, if it wasn't for me healing him, he would have died by the gas. So let's talk about the movement and the jump pad in this game. It almost feels like Apex, but just slightly stiffer. But just like on Apex, if you jump on the jump pad at a certain angle with a certain speed, it can send you farther. Now unfortunately you can't one on walls and you can't wall jump, but I would like to see it as a special ability. And if they built that mechanic into the game, they would need to build it in a way that it would take some skill to perform. So as of right now, you only have 2 ways of being rezzed depending on the game mode. But when you die, you'll normally leave a trophy, which your teammates can go over to your trophy and hold square, which takes about 5 to 6 seconds and they cannot move. And then on the other hand, you have the defibrillator, which allows you to get a quick res when you need to, which can come in clutch sometimes for the win. And with the movement being like Apex, you can use like a jump pad, slide in, and get the res to slide out without even being shot. But it can only be used once, and then it has a 40-second cooldown. And one more thing I want to mention, it's not really getting res, but you can respawn with time or coins depending on the game. And now for the heavy, we're going to be using the mass shield. We're going to be using a lawless gun, RPG 7, proximity sensor, and the dome shield. Coins depending on the game mode. And let's talk about the lawless gun. It does hold 47 bullets, so it does hold quite a bit of bullets compared to the other guns. And decent reload time, about 4 seconds I would say. It does do decent damage, about like the AK I would say. Decent accuracy, but it does have bad recoil. And here we have the RPG, and this guy being a light almost one-shots him, so it does about 140 damage. It does do damage if you shoot it too closely to you, so you have to be careful with that. It is really fun to use the RPG and is most satisfying when you get a kill like this. And now we have the proximity sensor, which is basically the same thing as the sonar sensor, but you don't throw it, you just set it down, which is better used for defending, and it does last longer than the sonar sensor. And now we have the mass shield, which can defend 750 lead attacks. But not only that, but your teammates can shoot through it. Which is funny because a lot of times your teammates don't even act like they know they can shoot through it. They just run past you out in the open and die. Which is funny because when I'm playing light or medium and I have a heavy using the mass shield, I'm like, I got your back because I know that shield got my back. And now we have the dome shield, which is like the mass shield, but you don't hold it, you throw it. Which by throwing it allows you to shoot through it, steal, and get reses. But it doesn't last that long and it only has 250 damage, unlike the mass shield having 750. Now let's talk about the cosmetics. And of course, this game being free, they have to make the money somehow, and that is how they make the money, through as a cosmetic. It is not pay to win, and I don't think nothing's overpriced, especially when you compare it to a game like Call of Duty that you paid 70 bucks, then they want to charge you $20 for a gun skin. But anyways, I think that's another thing that Mbox does a really good job at, creating cool and creative cosmetics. And it's not just the fact that they have a lot of cool cosmetics, which they do, but it has a lot to do with the system. And what I mean by that is there's so many different ways of customizing your character to make it your own. And that's the thing I like most about the customization options in this game. Just trying to show you guys the mechanics of how this works and what it allows you to mix and match. And I've seen some players make some pretty cool contestants, like dang, like why didn't I think of that? And I've seen some people make some pretty dumb looking stuff, but you can tell it's meant to be dumb. Another thing I want to mention, in the lore of the finals, you're a character competing in like a TV show, and having so many customization options kind of enhances that lore that you're a playable character in the finals. And then you have emotes, which you can use after you win the fight, or if you kill your opponent and you want to be a little toxic if teabagging's not enough. Then you have sprays, emotes, and sounds. And justice. And then you have pets, which you can take with you into battle just like Cuba, which I think is pretty cool. Then you have watches that show the real time. And really the only negative thing I can say about the watches, if you're wearing long sleeves, you cannot see them. And one thing I want to mention is the finals has a lot of heart and a lot of uniqueness to it, and it feels like its own game. And nowadays so many games are just copied and pasted to mimic the other one, especially when it comes to like live service games and Ubisoft games. I think that's why like Skull and Bones and Hyperspace didn't do very good. Hyperspace was just such a bland game and the maps were bland, and like the same thing with Encore. Now, I never played that game, but it looked like it was just a copy of Overwatch, with the theme being Guardians of the Galaxy. And by no means am I saying the finals is perfect. It does have a lot of problems, especially when it comes to the balancing issues. But that's basically my biggest problem with the finals. But this video ain't meant to be a review, but it's meant to show off the mechanics and what kind of FPS the finals is, and to help promote it. Not a lot of people know about this game, so if I can get even one person to play this game, that'd be a win. But that's pretty much gonna do it for this video, guys. I hope you liked it. This was my first time doing a recommendation video, but I am wanting to do another one for Halloween. But anyways, this is Jacob saying goodbye. The main problem is the cloaking device, and the cloaking device is not the problem. It's everything else that you can get with the cloaking device. And this is what I mean. Why is a Scandal Grenade in the light class? It makes no sense. Now in season 1 and 2 it used to be in the medium class, but then they moved it and they put it in the light class. Now maybe if they added it to the light class and left it in the medium class, that would have been fine, but they just moved it into the light class. But the reason why it makes no sense for Scandal Grenade to be in the light class is the cloaking device. It's like, now let's say we're playing Paper, Rock, Sizzles. Sizzles, Rock, and Paper both have a job to do. And Sizzles beats Paper, but loses to Rock. And then Paper beats Rock. But if you change the rules and you make it where Rock beats Paper, then you mess up the whole game. And that's kind of how it is when you're building a game. Everything has a mechanic that is used to combat the other one. Especially in a competitive game like this one. It's really important that they get that stuff right. And this is another thing that makes no sense. Thermal Vision is also in the light build, and it came out this season, which is the 3rd season. And I like how they show this being used against the light, but it's in the light class, which again makes no sense. And now we have the sniper, which is probably easily the most annoying gun to get killed by. But it's pretty much like that in any other competitive game. But the things that make it so much worse, one is the fact that the light is the fastest class and they easily have the most movement abilities, such as dash, grappling hook, and gateway. So if you're a medium or a heavy and you try to push that light with the sniper, and that light is going to be so much more faster than you are, and he can just keep the distance and then usually ends up killing you. So unless you're a light yourself, there's really no point in pushing that sniper because you can't catch him. And now the problem with the cloaking device with the sniper, and it's the fact that they can shoot and then go invisible and then shoot and then go invisible. But the one thing that does kind of combat that though is a Galeo when they're aiming, kind of like on Call of Duty. So that does help a little bit, but not enough. And that's pretty much all the complaining I'm going to do in this video. This video is not meant to be a review. It is mainly meant for supporting this game and trying to get new gamers to play it. But I did want to address some of the loadout choices and balancing with this game. And if you guys do check this game out or already play it, let me know you guys' opinion if you guys do or don't agree with me.